Routines. I'm wondering if any of you have a routine that you keep. Perhaps it's a daily routine, maybe it's a weekend routine, I'm not sure. But many people in our world have routines. And the purpose of a routine is supposed to be to keep us organized, to keep us on track. But have you ever noticed, those of you who are structured and keep routines, perhaps especially for our students and parents, have you ever noticed that sometimes a routine can seem like punishment? Like, do I really have to do this again? And perhaps some of those in our world who are the most disciplined at keeping a routine are the monastics. Of course, we're so fortunate to have two Orthodox monasteries in our world here, both in Williston, maybe 2 hours up the road to just north of Ocala. And if you go to visit the monasteries there, you will see that the monastics keep a routine, a canonica, I say, each and every day. There's not a single day where they just do what they want. Every day, literally, certain hours of the day, whether it's 3 a.m., whether it's 4:30 in the afternoon, or if it's midnight, it doesn't matter. They keep a routine each and every day. And for those who visit sometimes, they say, I don't really want to go to visit because I don't really want to do their routine. But what's interesting, for them, their routine is life-saving, and oftentimes for us, routines can be life-saving. For those of you who have to do physical therapy, or can I say things like dialysis, perhaps, all the things that we have to do in our world sometimes to stay alive, to keep our bodies and souls alive, sometimes can feel like, well, a hassle, a rut, a chore. And sometimes we can become resentful. And so we just heard the gospel reading of the 10 lepers. It's from the Gospel of Luke, and it's known as the 10 lepers because you heard that there were 10 men who were afflicted with leprosy. And remember, back in Jesus' day, leprosy was incurable. And people who had the disease of leprosy, it was a skin disease, but it also affected the nervous system, and it could be very painful as well as disfigured. Remember, there were so many rules and laws, can I say routines, enacted by the Israelites, by the religious elite, that those who suffered from leprosy were put out of the town. They could not be with their families, they could not be around other people. That's just how it was. And so they were essentially, in our words, maybe excommunicated. They had to live in little, you've heard the term leper colonies, and they lived by themselves. And it was only if they were healed could they come back in. But what was interesting is if they were healed somehow, because there was no cure for it, they would have to show themselves to the priest. This was the routine, this was the law, this was the structure that they had to follow. And so the miracle today was, as Jesus said, go show yourselves to the priest. They're wondering, why? We have leprosy, why would we do that? Well, the miracle happened as they were on their way. So in other words, they were being obedient to Jesus' words. They were going to make their way to the temple to show themselves to the priest, so they could essentially receive the blessing to be able to return to life and to their families. And so, as they were going, of course, the miracle occurred, that they were healed from their leprosy. And as you heard in the gospel reading, that only one of the 10 turned around before going to the temple and gave thanks to God. So in other words, this person broke from the strict routine, the law, and turned back and fell down at Jesus' knees, gave glory to God, and then went to the temple to get cleansed and return to his family. Okay, so returning to our lives and to the routines that people keep. When we're tempted to be, imprisoned, can I say, by the routines, whether it's getting up at a certain hour, having to study, having to go to dialysis, having to go to chemo, whatever it may be, having to care for children, remember, there will come a day where it will no longer be possible. And perhaps we may wish we could go to work again and have to deal with that difficult person. Or dare I say, we have to go to church again and deal with a fellow parishioner who seems to get under our skin. There will come a day when we wish for that. Wish we could go to school and sit through that boring lecture again, because it's better than, not being able to do anything. And so one of the ways I think to reframe it, to really help with these times and during these times, is to think about the things that we get to do. All of us get to come to this church today. Some have traveled from far distances. Some have had struggles with children already and spilled milk and teeth that didn't want to be brushed. Or can I say recently, a flat tire along the way. But remember, these are the things that we get to do. So just a thought, again, as we go through our routines, those of you who have routines, instead of getting frustrated or angry or resentful, because it's easy to do that, think about the things that we get to do each day, even if we think they are unpleasant. Because as you know, especially of those maybe in your current condition or other people you know, especially those who may be older, there comes a day when we no longer are able to do the things that we may seem arduous or repetitive at this time, whether it be from disability, inability, death, whatever it may be. So just a thought. And so that to me is the thing when I think about the one leper, because remember the one leper was a Samaritan, he was a foreigner, we heard in the English translation of the scriptures today, that the one of the 10 was a foreigner, a Samaritan. And remember that person, can I say, had a double whammy, because not only was a person who had leprosy put out of humanity, but also in the environment at this time, the Samaritans were at odds, because the Jews, the Israelites, considered the Samaritans, who had a different faith, a slightly different faith, they considered them as, can I say, half-breeds. So he had a double whammy against him, but he was the one who broke out of the routine and went back and gave thanks to God. So maybe the message is today, again, as we have so many things to do in our world, so many things we get to do, especially at the church. Well, there's stewardship, and there's a festival, and there's divine services like today. Having to put up with me and listen to me and my sermons and the other things, all my quirks and idiosyncrasies that I try to leave out, but somehow find their way, they just seem to follow me. That remember, these are the things that we get to do. And maybe, just maybe, that is what the Lord is challenging with us today, is we have to find the strength to go on, to do the things that we get to do and need to do each day.